Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast. And you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and if you haven't, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd love to have you there, too, because you can actually see what's going on here.
Juggling.
Right, exactly. Okay. At the same time that we're doing the podcast. So one of the strangest things, and to me, I think this would be intimidating for anybody, for any professional, is the story that came out from the Olympics at the finals of the gymnastics beam competition.
Oh, yes.
And Simone Biles and Suni Lee both said the same thing. Mm-hmm. The silence was insanely distracting for all of them. All the competitors thought that was really, really odd, that it messed them up. And as you know, they both fell off the beam, for this one. It threw their performances off. And as I was reading into it, it was actually by design. The Olympic Committee intended for it to be silent,
and that is not what they are used to.
Yeah, and I don't remember any Olympics actually being that way, where you didn't hear the music of or something playing in the background.
Other events going on.
Is that what it is? It's music from.
Usually,
like
I've been watching gymnastics since I could remember. So yes, when they have, even when Mary Lou Retton did it back in '84. There's all of these individual
music,
things
usually
going on.
Yeah.
So, someone from another country, they can't let every gymnast have the floor because it would take 6 months to do the Olympic Games. So yeah, there's other stuff going on, and we're sitting here watching coverage because we're in the USA and we're watching Team USA. But there's other stuff going on all over the place. And when these athletes train, they're training in gyms that are full of noise,
right.
Other gymnasts training around them. And look, I don't think that's an excuse. It's not like, but they're saying, when asked what happened to you, well, the first thing I was off because A, B, C. Mm-hmm. And one of them is noise.
Yeah. And they all agree. Every single one of them that was in the competition agreed that it was just insanely quiet in the arena. I guess they were. And I've only seen the clips of it. Haven't gone back and watched it on prime time, which I guess it would have come on.
Watch.
Would that have been on last night, or is that airing tonight?
I think that was last night. Yeah, it was last night.
So, but I think about like Jodi and I needing noise to go to sleep. We literally have rain sounds to go to sleep.
Yes,
and so
it's true.
When it's quiet in the house, I don't know what to do. I'm certainly not going to sleep. It's too quiet. So I can see how that threw them off. And you're talking about unbelievably focused people. I say they're not amateurs; they're professional
athletes,
right? Exactly. And Simone Biles, I love watching her before anything she does because she's so dialed in. Mm-hmm. You can see it in her face, just the extreme focus that she's blanking everything else out of her mind and only focusing on the routine or whatever she's about to do. So for it to distract her, I've got to believe it's just part of the human condition. I think the Olympic Committee ought to go back and look at that. It's like, wait a second,
why
keep
do
it
that?
The same that you would, that it would be through the entire Olympics. Don't change variables on these athletes when it's going to mess with them in
there are some
way.
Sports where variables change. How many times have we watched football in heat and then football in snow?
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
And for me, it's like, there was a game a couple of seasons ago where everybody was slipping and everybody was complaining about the turf, and yet they still had to play. Right. They had no time to go, woe is me, I'm slipping on the turf, but everyone was slipping. I was mad. Because it was like my team, and I'm like, we're slipping? What?
Have the folks with the Paris Olympics said why they cut the noise?
I don't know. Did you get that information?
All I saw was it was intentional. Huh. That was exactly the way that it was planned, as it was supposed to be silent. Now, I don't know if that's because they only wanted the beam to be the full focus, and there wasn't anything else going on in the arena as a result of that. Because I guess if it's the beam and it's not the floor exercise, and you're the only thing going on, there's not going to be music because you're not going to do music.
Well, maybe it was and maybe it was intentional because, honestly, in gymnastics, Simone specifically is on paper, statistically, the greatest. She's been called the GOAT of gymnastics, but it's not just that people love her and that she attempts these. It's on paper, on record, she's the GOAT, just like Brady, however many touchdown passes he's thrown. He's not just the GOAT because you like him. She's the GOAT because she has done things that other people have never been able to do.
Yes.
Yet, if someone comes along and tops her, then okay. Maybe they knew, the committee, that all eyes on her. all eyes will be on her. And Suni is also an incredible story right now, because not only is it amazing that how great she is and how good she is, but she was, between the time we've seen her in Tokyo and now, she was diagnosed with an incurable kidney disease. She's lucky to even be at the games, or she's fought her way to be at the games, because she's dealing with an illness too. She don't look like somebody who's sick either.
Isn't the beam supposed to be her event, Simone's event? Isn't that her specialty?
I thought the floor was her specialty. I think I don't know. That's a good question.
Probably all of it.
All of it, yeah. I will say regarding, well, I know Murphy's kind of looking that up right now.
I just wanted to see if there were, because it's the same article I was looking at earlier this morning. The Olympic Committee did not give any answer other than to say it was intentional that they were shutting the music off for the beam finals.
Well, here's what. You'll have to wait for the answer, but you'll get the answer. Here's why.
Yep.
The documentary. It's called, I can't remember.
Oh, that's right. They were filming for all of that.
Simone Biles Rising is a 4-part documentary. Only 2 parts are out now. I binged it like it was my job right before the Olympics. It's just about Simone training. She's being honest. It's her at home with her family and at gym, driving herself to the gym, knowing she's 27 years old now. But it's about what happened to her in Tokyo. She explains it at length, and it's really honest. It's a really good behind-the-scenes documentary. Those first 2 episodes you can watch now. And the other 2 are coming in the fall because they filmed everything.
Yeah.
And that means they have behind-the-scenes interviews that she's granting right now about Paris.
Mm-hmm.
So believe me, the comments from social media about her hair, which is ridiculous, that she has to even deal with that.
Yeah.
But we'll see how she handles it, which is pretty tough.
And I'm sure there will be, because Simone and Suni Lee, and you've got and several other gymnasts actually commented on the same thing, saying
sound.
This just made it awkward. I don't know that they're blaming that on their performance, but they're saying it really made them feel awkward. And I also realize, Team USA, I'm biased in their favor. My first thought is, well, why did they do that to them? You know what I mean? It's and so maybe the Olympic Committee will be more specific about that. But
sure,
I know competition's competition. I understand it, but I think there's enough publicity surrounding it. They're going to have to explain why. Right. Why did you shut the music off? Was it out of respect and focal point for the gymnast?
And maybe that's a mistake, or maybe it's going to be that way in the future. Who knows? I guess it's up to the committee. But it's the perfect example, Murphy, is you and I sleeping to the sounds of rain.
Mm-hmm.
As simple and dumb as that sounds, we can't now. We're conditioned to do it to the sound of rain on a speaker. It's light and lovely. It's so funny when it actually is raining. I'm like, is it actually raining outside? Because we're used to this fake rain in the bedroom.
Well, and when the internet goes out, it goes silent. Yes. It wakes me up. Yeah. That's ridiculous, isn't it?
If I get up to use the bathroom and come back and it's off, it's like, I can't go back to sleep now.
Right.
I got to turn it back on.
It'll actually wake me up, though, when it goes silent like that.
It's another example that's a little behind the scenes for anybody listening. But a week ago, we were traveling together, and we were doing our show, broadcasting from a different setup. In a room together that's not this room. This is our studio. This is home sweet studio, or whatever you call it. This is like a second home to us, and we're super comfortable here. We were doing this. I was doing 3 Things to Know in Hollywood Outside. We're doing this from somewhere else, and I was thrown off.
Yeah.
I had struggled to do because
the
job.
God, that is so true too. You get conditioned and used to something. Mm-hmm. This room, we're able to actually look directly at each other. Mm-hmm. In that setup, y'all are kind of over my shoulder and behind me, and we're having to make things work. And so when you don't have your regular routine going,
you can get thrown off. Your energy, your vibe, all of it.
Yeah, I didn't have the line of sight that I'm used to in this room.
Sure.
I had to turn around to look at Jodi, and it's like, throws you way off.
Right.
It's just, and I'm glad that we're talking about it in these terms, because everyone needs to consider that. For some reason, we expect perfection from these athletes who give us such excellence, that we expect perfection. There's a difference, and I'm sure she's dealing with some, this is so stupid to fall off of beam because of noise.
Well, I hope not.
That's
ridiculous.
In a social media world, you better believe it. Now, she knows to tune that out.
Yeah,
I trust. Yeah. She knows to tune it out. But that's probably there.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't have those expectations. I know what you mean. It gets exciting when you start rooting for Team USA. You want the gold. But for me, with Simone Biles this time, it has been, maybe part of it is because she had faced so many challenges the last time. Or look at Suni Lee's story. Same thing. She almost didn't make it, to these Olympics. So I'm now that I know these backstories, I'm watching in awe. And Simone Biles, anyway, just doing the floor exercises and bouncing 13 and a half feet in the air,
higher
and
than
doing the
anybody.
twist, and she's unbelievable.
Higher than anybody.
And I remember. So my first exposure to any of the Olympic gymnastics as a kid, a young kid, it was in the 70s, and Nadia Comaneci was known for. I mean, she was the one that just had the tens, and the world was her stage. You know what I mean? And then I guess by the 80s, Mary Lou Retton, which
84.
In 84, that was the big, again, focused on great performance. But Simone Biles, and being able to see somebody in your same lifetime that has managed to achieve more than that is really amazing. And she's 27 years old, which of course is not old, but in Olympic terms. And she's already talking about going back. I bet you at 31, if she decides she can probably pull it off.
If she
really
decides
amazing.
she wants to. Yeah. She even said my favorite quote from her. I know we're going to wrap this up, but my favorite quote from her, and I took a screenshot of it because I loved that she said this the other day. She said, "You guys really have got to stop," and she means media at the Olympics, people talking to her after. "You guys really got to stop asking athletes what's next when they win medal at the Olympics. Let us soak up the moment we've worked our whole lives for."
Yeah. No kidding. Because they all ask that too.
Yeah. Every athlete is thinking, "Yes, Simone, yes, thank you." And maybe they should stop asking that.
It's context. When I saw the headline on that, the headline said the one question that she wished the reporters would stop asking. And that makes sense because, yes, at that moment, think about that. You've just walked off. You've got your score. You're exciting. You're in the moment. Why take them out of that moment and ask about something in the future when this is their crown jewel achievement right here? She's just hit gold again.
Look, I remember in one of my journalism classes being taught that it's a mistake to ask an athlete how they feel. In a moment, even though you maybe want to get them there, it's your job to lead them there. But don't just ask that because it's like, how do you think they feel? They feel excited.
You just missed the field goal. How do you feel?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel great. There's always next week.
Thank you for downloading the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast. And if you have not become a subscriber, please do that, whether it's on Apple Podcast or the iHeartRadio app, wherever you want to choose to download the podcast. We would appreciate a subscription today.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.